She's thinking about it. She's warming up. She's warming up to us.
Look at there.
Bring us in.
That's beautiful. All right, guys, welcome to Wednesday night special edition of the Livewell here at Fish North, Georgia. We appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. And again, if you guys are watching at a later date, we love you too. Got a great show in store for you. A lot of hype about this kid that we've got on tonight. So the nice pops that are going on, everything's nice. And go ahead. That's great. You good? Mm-hmm. Ryan's made the pops, the proper pops. So anyway, Paul, tell everybody how they can follow us on social media.
Oh, we're going to go right there.
Go right there.
You can follow us on social media, Facebook at Fish North Georgia, Instagram at Fish North Georgia, TikTok. Are we TikToking?
We're TikToking.
We're TikToking, baby. Fish North GA.
They might see us.
YouTube, Fish North Georgia. We're the one. If you want to catch up on your past episodes of the Livewell, it's an excellent place to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I think that covers
That's it. And again, this is going to be downloaded to iTunes and Spotify. And so if you are, all the podcast platforms, Google Play, stuff like that. And again, if you're listening to this at a later date on those platforms, this is a live show, and we will have commenters in the section. So from time to time, you're going to hear us talk about those, mention those people, their local guys by name and stuff like that. And so just want to make sure you understand and are aware of that so that you can keep up with the conversation and kind of understand what's going on. So anyway, guys, listen, this is going to be a great episode, but I want to first give thanks and love to our sponsors, Rachel Collins with 400homes.com. Guys, if you're in the market to buy or sell real estate, Rachel is the agent for you. Professional, honest, one-on-one service. Hey, listen, she likes to fish. She is exactly what you need. She is closing deals all the time. And we love her here, and we appreciate that. You can call her directly, 770-310-0599, or you can email her, Rachel, at 400homes.com. Tell her the guys at Fish North Georgia sent you her way like that. So
get your big head out of the way and point at the sponsor.
Oh, I think I should do that. Right there.
That's Rachel.
There's Miss Rachel right there. So again, guys, to those that are saying hello right now in the comment section, we appreciate all you guys, and we thank you for dilly taking some time to join in with us.
Study for that chemistry test, baby.
I'm going to introduce our star-studded panel. We'll start with the guests, Mr. Emil Wagner. How you doing today, bud?
Doing good.
Doing good. We're looking forward to picking your brain here. Got a lot of stuff going on here and making a name for yourself. So you're a big name out there right now. So we're going to introduce you to the world for those that don't know you. So definitely that. So we got Ryan here beside me. Mr. Paul Coonan is in the house, and Nathan Skinner is running the board right there.
Pushing the buttons.
Derek White, 10 more days. I'm assuming that's going to be from the opening of archery season here at Georgia. Real quick before we get going, I want to I kind of mentioned it on the Fish North Georgia group page, a new playlist that we're having, and we're going to call it the A1 or the A list. Did I say that right, Ryan?
Yes.
The A list, F&G's A list, where we are going to be doing anything not fishing related is going to be put on that playlist. We've got a couple that we recorded today that we're going to put out, but it can be anything from taste testing to a new product opening review, stuff like that, anything like that. If you guys have any ideas that you would like us to cover, you can leave it in the comment section right there. We'll make sure we go back and write it down. Any other business that I need to take care of from either one of you two before we get into introducing Mr. Wagner to the world?
We would like to extend some well wishes to David from Coyote Outfitters in Athens. He's had some troubles with his heart, and he's undergoing a procedure tomorrow to hopefully correct those. And we just want to send him some warm wishes, some good thoughts, and wish him a speedy recovery.
Absolutely. And that's what we do here. The fishing community in North Georgia, even when we have our differences, we're still pretty tight, especially when one of our own has some problems. So again, David with
Coyote Outfitters.
David, we hope you get better soon, bud, and hope we get some good news from all of that. So now, you ready for this?
Yeah.
You ready? Yeah. It doesn't look like much phases this kid right there. So Emil Wagner, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to do a little kind of backstory real quick before we get into all the stuff that people want to hear. So
Sure.
I told you I'd start you off with a softball question. So tell everybody out there kind of how you got your start in fishing.
So I never really had like a mentor or like anyone really growing up, but my dad, I was actually born in Denmark. So my whole family lives in Europe, in Denmark.
There we go.
My dad would I think he'd like pike fish over there or something every now and then. And he introduced me to it at some point when I was real young. And we lived in a neighborhood with a pond in it. I'd go down there and pond fish all the time, just like any kid. And then I think from there, I started getting pretty serious into it in like middle school.
Right.
Me and my buddy William, he was my high school fishing
Now
partner.
we're over here in America at this time.
Yeah.
Okay,
I moved over here when I moved over here when I was a year old.
Okay.
But we've lived here ever since.
You know, Eddie Van Halen did the same thing.
I don't even know that.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm bad with that kind of stuff.
You've stepped on a landmine, sir.
Okay, well.
Eddie Van Halen is the greatest guitar. No, we'll introduce you to Van
It's all
Halen.
good.
We'll introduce you to Van Halen, but that's all right. Keep going. So you moved over here right about 1 or something like that. So now we're in kind of like middle school and all that.
Once I got into middle school, me and my buddy William started fishing like all the time out of his canoe. And then we got like pretty serious into it. And then in high school, we realized tournament fishing was a thing. So we started the team at Walton High School.
Right.
I got my first bass boat. I guess rewind a little. We fished out of his Boston Whaler. He had a lake house on Lake Kiwi. And we kind of cut our teeth fishing there. And then I think in 9th or 10th grade, I got a 2001 Skeeter ZX 190. And we fished out of that for like 2 years in high school. Went to Georgia Bass Nation, and we went to all the high school tournaments. And then he ended up getting a Phoenix. I think one of like before Phoenix was real popular, he got one of those, and we fished out of that one in like towards the end of high school, and we loved it. We fished all 4 years. We ended up doing pretty good, and then we actually both ended up going to Ole Miss.
Mhm.
And I didn't fish that much the first 2 years there, but towards the end we fished. I fished all junior year. I fished the whole college deal. And senior year, I think we just fished one of the qualifiers to get to nationals. And then other than that, I just fished BFLs. And I'd come home a lot of weekends, fish locally, just fish as much as I could.
So at what point in all this did the tournament aspect of it really kick in and you were like, man, I like this.
As soon as I got into high school.
High school.
I've always been really competitive. So once I realized like fishing tournaments were a thing.
So that was it. It was the competition part of it that just kind of drove you and all that. Do you remember like your first tournament? Do you remember it?
Yes. Yeah, it was a high school tournament on Lanier. We launched out of Laurel. It was in my Skeeter. And that boat was beat to crap, but we just got a really good deal on it. So it was like,
right,
we'll roll with this. But it was a total disaster. I zeroed in my first tournament. The trolling motor fell off the boat. Like it was one of the old Motor Guide tour editions. And It's got that big screw that holds the whole shaft on.
Yeah.
That screw came out. We lost the trolling motor. We rode around the rest of the day with like literally the trolling motor sitting on the front deck. And we didn't catch anything. We stuffed like 2 waves. It sucked, but it didn't.
But it didn't discourage you.
No.
You said this is the life I want. I like this.
Yeah.
You also guide a little bit and all that. So how did you make the transition? Because you still tournament fish and you guide. How'd you make that transition into like, I want to guide?
Well, I graduated college and I actually worked for Pure Fishing for a year.
Mm-hmm.
They own like Berkeley and Pfluger, all them. Yeah, I was on their marketing team. And I stopped working there in early May or late April or something because I just been wanting to guide and tournament fish for a while. And if you want to tournament fish a lot, you kind of need to be able to create your own schedule.
That's right.
So yeah, I left there and just started guiding and tournament fishing as much as I could.
Okay, all right, and you've had some success both. Let's hit on the guide thing real quick. How is that going for you?
It's going well. Yeah, when I first June and early July was like almost every day, and then going into August it got a little slower. It's been 2 or 3 trips a week, and then just here in the last week or so it's picked up again. I think as it's getting a little cooler, people just know like in August and the dog days of the summer, it's hot and
it is
the fishing's
hot.
not
Absolutely.
as good.
What lake or lakes are you guiding on?
Lanier, Allatoona, and Hartwell. Lanier's 95% of it, but yeah.
Okay. And so you just mentioned 3 lakes. What's your favorite out of the 3? Lanier?
Yeah, Lanier's the best one for sure. Hartwell's. I mean, they're also different. Lanier's Lanier's got so many giant spots in it, and it's probably the best tournament lake of the three. But then Hartwell, you've got all the big largemouth mixed in, and then Allatoona honestly kind of sucks, but for whatever reason, there's a tournament there every night of the week.
There is.
And I fish every Monday and Tuesday night there, pretty much.
Okay, who do you fish with on that? What tournament trail's that?
I fished with a few different people. The last few years, I fished with my buddy Garrett Guinan. I know you had him.
I know
on.
Garrett.
Yeah,
Yeah, we know Garrett.
fished the Monday nighters. This year, I'm fishing with a kid named Aspen, and then the Tuesday nighters I always fish by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like it by yourself or with a partner?
Yeah, I'm anytime I can fish by myself, I prefer to fish by myself.
So you're a lone wolf.
I like it best. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Hartwell. Let's hit on Hartwell real quick. We don't ever hit on that lake enough. Ryan and them actually went up to Hartwell this past weekend, and what is it about Hartwell that you like?
It's pretty similar to Lanier and how it fishes. There's just, if Lanier you have 90% spots, 10% largemouth, there it's more like 50-50. You still end up catching more spots, but there's just way more largemouth in the lake. But it's like if you took Lanier and made it 5 times as flat, like if a point on Lanier is a mile long, there it's like 3 miles long. So the contours are a lot flatter, but it's just a nice change of pace.
Okay.
But it fishes pretty similar.
All right. Did it fish like that for you, Ryan?
This past weekend?
Yeah.
It's pretty tough.
It was tough. It was tough this weekend.
If you go out there to Hartwell, which species do you prefer to target?
You better target
well, it kind of depends on like a lot of different things. Like the time of the year.
If you had your druthers.
Well, like I fished the ABA there 2 weeks ago, the Open Series, and that was all offshore fishing. And I'd say 90% of the fish you caught were spots, but my kicker was a 4.5-pound largemouth that was mixed in with them. So they're always out there.
Yeah.
But you can go up shallow and like target them, but you can also fish offshore and just accept that you're going to have a mix of them, and every now and then you're going to have a largemouth.
You can bump into one.
Yeah.
Now you going for that Crown Royal sponsorship tonight? No, actually, it's 4 Roses, small batch. Thank you for noticing. Actually, we one of the videos we did that will be coming out tomorrow in the A list, we kind of went over an old fashioned, and of course that's my.
Is there a bottle of brandy in this building?
A bottle of brandy?
Yeah.
There's some rum upstairs, and
you didn't go over the old fashioned then.
It's funny you say that. I know we're not going to spend too much time, but he says a rye whiskey is better than a regular one in an old fashioned, and now you're saying rum. So we'll compare them. That's another episode like that. Now, hey, we're all about content, right? Ain't that right, Nathan? So all about content. So what do you consider yourself as far as a fisherman? Are you a power guy? Are you a finesse guy? Multi, can do it all. I mean, but what do you like to do?
It kind of just depends whatever the fish are biting. Like I feel like I don't go out there trying to do one thing, but I guess if I got to choose, it'd be power fishing. But I use a spinning rod a lot. So
okay,
I'd say in the warmer months, like the summertime, definitely power fishing. But as you move into the wintertime, like definitely
go into finesse.
But that depends where you're at too. If you go to another lake, it might be totally different. That's
right. And guys, again, if you're in the comment section and you got some questions and stuff like that, feel free to put them out there and we will ask him. So on the guide thing though, and just I want to wrap that up kind of real quick. If somebody wants to take a guide trip with you, how can they get in touch with you?
So my website, emilwagnerfishing.com, or just text me or call me.
Okay.
Yeah, 404-775-0462.
All right. And what about any social media that you do?
Yeah, Instagram is just Emil Wagner 1, and then I'm on Facebook, which is just my name.
Emil Wagner.
Yeah, and then I've got a guide page on Facebook too, which is just Emil Wagner's Fishing Guide Service.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So let's kind of talk into we've noticed you've had quite a bit of success here lately in the tournament world. First off, let's kind of approach the topic of how you approach a tournament. What's your mindset going into a tournament? And let's say you just finished second in the BFL, 2-day BFL here on Lanier, just a couple ounces from winning it.
Yeah.
Ty Overmeyer got you just by what was it? It was very
2 ounces.
2 ounces. 2 ounces. So you were very close, but still a hell of a finish. How many boats were in that tournament?
I think we had 144. Don't quote me on that, but it was somewhere right around there.
See, that's a big tournament. So got a second place finish in that. We've noticed in a lot of the tournaments here, you have finished high, won your share. But how do you approach it? What's your mindset going into a tournament? and you can choose Lanier out wherever they are. How do you break it down?
Well, so on Lanier, you're kind of just trying to run as many high percentage areas as you can in a day. I do the same thing on Allatoona or anywhere, whether it's a brush pile or a good shallow pocket or a bank that you're going to crank or something. You're zipping around the lake, running as many of those places as you can in a day, and just not getting spun out. I mean, like if you hit enough of those places, eventually you're going to get the bites. And if you put them in the boat, you put them in the boat. If you don't, you don't.
Right.
Some days are better than others.
Yeah. You mentioned spinning out. How do you keep from spinning out? And for those that don't know what that is, that's where you just get in your mind like this day is terrible. I'm bad about that, ain't I, Ron?
You are.
I do. I spin out. Not terrible, but I do spin out.
Yeah, I think that just comes with like time. Like I know everyone says it, but like the biggest thing with fishing, especially tournament fishing, is just time on the water. And if I'd say and I think a lot of people could relate to this, but like back in the day or like earlier, and I guess my fishing career or whatever, you'd go out there and you're like all nervous and you're filled with butterflies and you're like, backlashing and just, you're just nervous all day because it's a tournament. But I think the more you do it, you just put your boat in the water and it's just another day.
Just treat it like another day. I want to read a comment from Derek White. He's got some high praise for you. I had some guys go with Emil, nothing but praise from them, said he was very knowledgeable and they were very satisfied with their trip, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I appreciate it,
which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's excellent. Derek.
Yeah, we went yesterday. It was good. They had
Derek?
just bought.
You and
No,
Derek?
the guys Derek sent me.
Okay.
Yeah, he sent me some guys for a trip, but because he does them every now and then, but like not all that much. So he just sent me them. But we went yesterday, and they had.
I saw the post. It looked like you whacked them.
Yeah, it was pretty good. They bought. I think they like went 50-50 on a boat. The one guy was like a cop, and the other was, I think he worked construction, and they'd gone out there multiple times and just caught I think his wife had caught like one fish, so they were just
lost.
Yeah,
and this is Lake Lanier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now they caught a bunch, and they were super hyped up. So that was cool to see.
How much?
Lanier's a tough lake to start on.
It is a tough one.
It is. Yeah.
It is very much. And I'll get to your question here in a second, scratch fishing. But I want to ask you, when you have a client, and we're back to the guide thing, but it's a question that needs to be asked. Customer service on some guides is very lacking.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's very lacking, and a lot of guides, not too many. We hear stories, but a lot of guides do not put. They want to go out and fish, and it's not so much about the customer. How do you approach that? You got two guys, like you said. Wife's only caught one fish. How do you ensure that those guys, number one, learn something and have a good time?
There's a lot to that. I think in the beginning you kind of try to get a gauge on what they want out of the trip. Like some guys are literally just out there to catch fish and have fun.
Right.
Other guys may have got a boat and they just want to know, like they're out there just to learn, maybe catch some fish on the side. And then, gauging your customer right off the bat. And then other than that, I mean, they're spending it's not cheap. They're spending their hard-earned money to go out there. So if you're not giving them 100% all day, then I feel like you're giving them a disservice.
Very, very good answer. Do you, have you had a bad trip yet? You don't have to drop no names. Have you had a bad customer yet? And if so, how did you approach that?
No, I don't think we've had a trip. We haven't caught under 10 fish or so. It's been good so far. I mean, I'm sure I'm due come wintertime or something, but no, it's been really good so far. I haven't had a bad trip.
And that's another part of spinning out, even with the tournament, but also with guiding.
You're
going to have that customer.
Well, yeah, and if you put your time in and whatnot, you know that eventually you're going to run into them.
Yeah, absolutely. Nathan Dung would like to know. I'll go ahead and do his question. Would he rather go offshore or shallow? And then I'll get the question before.
That's such a hard question to answer. That's, again, just totally depends where you're at. But Lanier, 90% of the time offshore.
Okay, so
that's not to say I wouldn't fish shallow. But, like in the wintertime, I fish shallow a lot. The BFL, I fish shallow the first hour.
Okay.
But it's just, I'd say on Lanier, most of the fish live out there. And if you want to consistently do well.
Now, when you go shallow for that first hour, are you targeting largemouth?
Yeah, you'll still catch spots, but yeah.
But
you're trying to get a kicker or largemouth before you go offshore.
So you go work for your kicker first and then go offshore.
Yeah, and it might not be your kicker, but you may know that you're not going to catch anything offshore the first couple hours or anything that you want to weigh in.
Do you find that to be the pattern a lot?
No, honestly, it depends what stage you're at in the summer. Sometimes you can catch them really good right off the rip, and other times sucks the first hour or two, and then you might as well go gamble. And even if you don't catch it, you probably weren't going to catch anything big offshore anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just, you just gauge it on.
Let's talk about right now, the kind of conditions. Fishing's been kind of tough for a lot of guys on Lanier and stuff. The offshore bite, you say it's kind of, you go early in the morning, you look for that kicker largemouth, you go offshore. Do you find it right now that's the more consistent bite right now on Lanier for you?
I think it always is.
For you like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas like Ryan over here, he is a shallow water guy. He'll fish shallow water.
Yeah.
But that's
I
his
respect that.
strength.
There's still a lot of really big fish up there. I just think it's hard to do well day in and day out on the bank.
Okay. All right. No, hey, absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, forward-facing sonar.
Yeah, it's a huge deal out there.
Okay. How how has that changed your fishing?
I mean, before it came out, we were still all doing the same thing, but now it's just made it 10 times easier. You're making the exact right cast every time, and you're not wasting any time.
Okay.
Like the guys I had out yesterday, they didn't have it, and they were kind of skeptical about it, and he called me this morning and ordered one.
Okay. There
Yeah.
you go. So what brand do you use?
Garmin. Yeah, I think it's by far the best.
You're a Garmin guy.
Yeah.
Do you use it any when you're up shallow, or is just primarily offshore fishing? Like how
No,
much
you pretty much have to be deeper than 10 foot to use it. I think if you're shallower than 10, you need 360 or perspective, because it still plays in shallow water, but you're not so much using it to look for fish. You're using it to see, like, there's a rock pile up on the bank, or there's the edge of a grass line or something like that. But honestly, in less than 10 foot, it doesn't look that good.
Do you feel a lot of guys, we notice a lot of guys spend too much time looking down.
Yeah.
We call it video game fishing.
Yeah, and I tell a lot of my guys that, like, you got to know when to look at it and when not to.
Okay, well, how about that? Tell everybody when to look at it and when not to.
I mean, it's just all situational. Like, if you're fishing offshore and you're targeting a big school of fish, like, obviously you want to look at it and make sure you're making the right cast. But if you're fishing a ditch in the wintertime and there's fish from one end to the other of the ditch, sometimes you don't want to be sitting down there trying to pick fish off the bottom. You just want to make a good cast where the fish are at, and fish it real slow or fish it right, because you can drive yourself crazy with it too.
Okay. Cooper McDonald wants to know, how many piles do you run a day?
Oof, that varies. In the summertime, definitely the most, but anywhere from, I really don't know, 70, 100.
We had Brock Turner on show, and he is very.
Sometimes, sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to cut
go
you
ahead,
off.
go ahead,
You'll
go ahead.
pull up to an area and there's like either multiple piles or there's fish scattered throughout, so you might spend more time there. But it really changes all the time. Sometimes, like earlier in the year, you might only run 25, but then later in the year you might run a lot more.
So yeah, well that makes sense. So what I was going to say is Brock Turner, he's pretty well known on there and stuff as a very good tournament angler, was on the show in the past, and he said he goes up to a brush pile. He'll make, what did he say, Ryan? How many casts does he make? 1, 2, maybe?
Yeah, about 2.
About 2 casts, and if he doesn't get a fish off that, he's gone. How much time do you spend on a pile like that? I know you say you run and gun, but
It depends. If they're set up really nicely
and what is nicely?
they're high in the water column, ready to eat. Yeah, if there's a bunch of them up high and you throw your stuff over them and they don't eat, you pretty much know it's not going to happen. But you might pull up to a place and there's a few fish on the pile, a few fish up on the point, a few fish out roaming off the end, and you may have to spend some time trolling around, looking around, trying to pick off fish. But it really does vary.
Okay.
It really does.
We got any questions over there, Ryan?
It's not really like it's not really like a set thing, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. All right, Ryan, give me the.
I think that's the real, like with live sonar, like isn't that the real thing? Is you get that information in real time about whether or not they react to what you showed them.
Yeah, for sure. It teaches you a lot. Like it's kind of built for a lake like Lanier. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of lakes. Like if you go to them like Oconee or Sinclair, you can turn it off. Like there's no point in looking at it. But a lake like Lanier, when you have so many suspended fish, it's huge.
You got another comment from Brian Hendricks Fishing. Dude is a hammer, so that's a very good compliment.
Appreciate it.
What question we got next, Ryan? What we got over there?
Michael Temple says, how are you deciding what to throw on a tournament day? If they don't bite, how long before you change things up?
That's a good question, Michael.
I mean, sometimes on a weekend, you're just not getting that many bites. So you got to force it and know that if you run it for 8 hours, you might get 7, 8, 9, 10 opportunities, and it's like you may go through a 2-hour drought, but you just keep your foot on the gas.
So you're pretty good. You like, this is what I throw.
No, not necessarily. Like that changes with like conditions and time of year and how they're set up. And I mean, you got flukes, top waters. I mean, whatever you like to throw. But what was the question again?
Just how so.
I think that's like the question in tournament fishing, isn't it?
It is.
Well, in layman's terms, basically, you hit the lake, back boat in the water, y'all get ready for blast off, and you've already got a mindset, a game plan, a couple rods laying on the deck, and you're saying, all right, this is what we're going to go for a couple hours. When do you make the decision to do something different?
I mean, if like, let's say you're getting short strikes left and right, then obviously something's wrong.
Yeah.
But the thing with linear on a weekend is it's so tough that like sometimes even if you are getting short strikes, it's not that you're doing anything wrong. They're just getting so much pressure and they're getting fished for so much that like you just got to grind it out.
Okay, so your mindset is I need 5 bites, 5 quality bites in a day. So you go in with that mindset.
100%, yeah.
And that's kind of
linear, yeah.
Derek White wants to know what you threw this past tournament. We ain't going into that. Listen, hey, I promised the man, I said, give him some juice, but I'm not going to make him give him your juice like that. But nice try. Dylan Johnson's got a question. How do I stay on top of a brush pile with 2D? How do I stay on top of okay, I'm sorry, he moved it over. With 2D sonar so I can drop right on top of it. So he just got a boat, new to this.
Yeah.
He uses 2D and all that. Do you utilize 2D a lot?
No, I can't remember the last time I turned it on, to be honest with you.
Okay, so
I mean, you just don't need it anymore. But I would say to him, like, try to get a good antenna on your boat so you know where the brush pile's at, and then instead of getting right on top of it, take your drop shot and pitch it to it or cast to it.
Okay, so stay off the brush pile a little bit instead of get on top of it.
Yeah, because again, they get fished for so much.
I have a suggestion here.
What's that?
Back in the battle days, we used this crazy device called a marker buoy.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Which was,
did you ever use one of those? I know you're young.
Yeah, way back.
Way back in the day.
Actually, I remember in high school we went down to eat
Still got them. Still use them.
Not anymore. Yeah,
No.
It is. Do you ever fish timber this time of year? And now, so we're in right now.
Ooh, that's a good question.
We're right at the end of August, getting ready for the fall transition. How much time do you spend on timber?
There's a few places you can catch them out of it, but A, it's really hard to find, and B, it's not all that reliable. But there are some places you can catch them out of it, yeah.
Okay, and does this transition to other lakes, like, let's say Allatoona?
Yeah, any lake with standing. Allatoona doesn't really, or shoot, I could be wrong in this, but I don't think it's got standing timber.
I have no idea.
I don't think it does.
So Allatoona, you approach different than Lanier.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, what's your approach on Allatoona?
It's got to.
It's just a junk fishing hole. Like you run down the lake and it's like you might go throw a buzzbait in a pocket, then you might go fish a brush pile, then you might stop on school and fish, then you might go crank a bank. It's like you have 20 rods on your deck and you're just getting after it.
Do you ever throw the horny toad?
On a buzzbait, yeah.
You throw it on a buzzbait. Have you ever thrown it without?
I have, yeah.
Any success?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, they
good.
bite
All right,
for
good.
sure.
So there you go. Because this man right here is the horny toad king right here.
Oh, yeah, they eat it.
Yeah, they eat it like that. So, what's this next question? Seen a lot of fish suspended up under docks just inches deep. Won't touch a fluke. Not used to seeing them roaming that shallow this time of year. Any suggestions? That question is from our viewer, Chase Key. And Chase, we appreciate you joining us tonight.
I don't fish docks very much this time of year.
And any of y'all, Ryan, I mean, if you got some suggestions for him, because you don't fish docks that much. What about you, Ryan? What can you help him out with right there?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You won't get bit.
What?
Nope.
All right, so, Ryan, what are you doing to help that gentleman out?
Can you skip? I know they'll bite when they're inches underneath the water right there. You just got to hit them in the head. They'll kill it.
Horny toad?
Yeah.
They will hit. He likes to skip that horny toad right
So
under
if
dock.
you see them underneath walkways,
I don't blame them. It's a great way to catch them.
If
It
you
is.
see them underneath
It's just hard to
walkways and you see them underneath floating buoys,
It is.
It's
Absolutely.
So I have a question for you, Ryan. And this was kind of my first thought when he said that was come back at night. Do those fish start to roam and turn into hunters after dark, or do they kind of stay neutral?
Well, as hardcore as I fish and as much success as I have on this lake shallow, I've learned over the years that they have the shallow fish, they stay there. The ones that live shallow, they stay shallow. It don't matter how hot it is, how cold it is. But they have feeding periods throughout the day where there's a period in the first thing in the morning where they eat, and then they go a couple hours. And then around 11 o'clock, especially in July and August and September, around 11 o'clock again, they want to eat again. And then they won't eat again until about 2. So it's just after
You'd be
dark,
there at the right time.
Yeah, right time, right place. And it's kind of the same thing at night.
Definitely
the kind of same thing at night as fishing. You don't necessarily have to be fishing a light, at night.
You do not.
They're still underneath there on docks and stuff, even if it don't have a light or anything. It's just all about timing, and like everyone's probably heard me say a bunch. It's a lot of if you're going to do that, you got to commit to it, and you got to put your head down. You got to not think about anything else.
Yeah, so kind of similar to what you say. Like I'm getting short bit, but I'm gonna stay with it. I'm
Commit
getting
to the
bit,
grind.
but I'm gonna grind it out.
Same
like
thing with like topwater fishing and stuff too. But it's you may go 2 hours throwing a topwater plug and not get a bite, and you're just like you're on that last bit in the back of your mind where you're just like, I'm gonna go do something else, but then you pull up to the right, you go one more brush pile, and you pull up to that next brush pile, and then all of a sudden you cast over there, and they act like they ain't never seen nothing
right
before in their life, and then it reinvigorates you, to
absolutely
keep going.
Absolutely.
How much mapping do you do?
Mapping a ton.
A ton, okay. Because Kurt Weehunt made a comment. I think this is related to another comment in the section. Good mapping is most valuable to me.
That's definitely true.
So okay, so you like to map the places you're at and stuff like that, and use it.
Yeah, or just mapping, just knowing where you're looking for brush or fishing shallow or anything. A good map's huge.
Okay. Viewer Matthew Smith, what would make you stay shallow this time of year?
If I'm catching them, I mean, I don't know how
what the fish are doing.
Yeah,
they up there.
They up there. Okay.
Sometimes conditions too. Like if you have cloud cover, usually I catch them better shallow.
Okay.
But,
all right. My cousin Alan Pruitt is on the line here tonight, and he is. If you see fish on live scope and they follow your lure and then turn away, how do you get these fish to bite? And I think that comment encompasses a lot on the live scope.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, when we're talking about getting spun out and all that, and I've seen it myself. You see the fish moving, they'll come up and look at it and turn around.
Yeah.
Come up, turn around. Do you give up on those fish, or you say, hey, no, look, I can tell that's a big fish.
Yeah.
I'm going to work his butt.
You can follow them up sometimes. Like if you're throwing like a topwater or whatever, you can pitch a drop shot in there or a jig or whatever you like. Or you can take the other school of thought and say, those fish aren't going to bite. There's another school over there. I'll go give them a shot. But
okay.
Sometimes, again, it literally changes all the time. But like sometimes you can follow up and catch them really good. And sometimes you could follow up with a drop shot and they'll never eat it. But
yeah. So is that your follow-up kind of technique? I go to a brush pile. I'm going to throw top water across it. I see the fish move up. They don't commit. They move back down.
Yeah.
And then you'll chase them with a drop shot or something like that?
Yeah, depending on how tough it is, yeah.
Okay. All right, there you go. Let's see. If the fish are not willing to come up, what do you normally go to? And again, you just said the drop shot. Kind of is that kind
spy bait, underspin.
So spy bait.
Fluke.
Now, have you found? And this is just from people coming in the store and listening. The spy bait, and Ryan's heard it, and he can echo me on this. When the spy baits first came out, everybody was throwing them. They were getting hit.
Yeah, it's not that special anymore.
Right, and now we're hearing guys, and I think Ryan, you can back me up on this, saying that the spy bait bite has kind of fallen off a little bit. They've gotten used to it. Have you found that to be? I mean, that's true, Ryan.
Yeah,
Don't you agree with that? That we hear guys say that all the time.
Like I said before, about 4 years ago, that thing was. If you weren't out there in June, July, and throwing a spy bait, you were doing yourself bad work because they just ate it like 4 years ago. You didn't even. I mean, forward facing sonar wasn't even a thing, and it was literally just like. You didn't have to have the countdown specific to where it was. You figure out, like, I think the fish are in about 15 feet of water. If you counted it down to 10, they would still come up and eat it. So.
Right. No, absolutely. Do you have a particular spy bait? You don't have to give the color, but do you have a brand that you like to do Aurealis? Okay. You find that to be good enough, that you like that quality and all that on that bait.
The small fat one, whatever it's called, the alpha.
The alpha.
The little 62 one.
Yeah. So you like the short one. Have you found, this is just off the top of my head because you said small one, have you found that at this time of the year, especially on Lanier and maybe even Allatoona, it seems like we hear the bass are keyed in on smaller bait? Do you downsize any of your baits during the late summertime, early fall?
Yeah, you do notice that on a lot of places, but then like in the BFL, I saw it a lot. You'd go up to a place and there'd be a little tiny threadfin sitting on top of the water, but then you look in your live well and there's also giant herring in there at the end of the day.
That is true. I don't
think it's like they're only keyed on that, if that makes sense.
How do you decide, like you say, if you're, and let's talk about the BFL. We won't get into too many specifics. I know you're a tournament guy, but let's say you see that, there's small bait out there. You see there's big herring in their mouths as well. Do you go for the bigger sizes? I mean, whatever it is you throw, you like to throw big.
Yeah, because if you're throwing into a school of 40 of them, if you're only gonna get a bite or two, you're better off trying to get a big one out of there versus a 2-pounder.
Okay, I mean that makes plenty of sense. And that kind of, are you fishing the super tournament on Hartwell?
Mm-hmm.
You are. Yeah. What is that for those that don't know what the super tournament is?
So the BFLs, you have your regions or whatever. So you have the Bulldog or divisions.
Which one do you fish? What do you fish? Bulldog
and Savannah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just finished Bulldog, and the super tournament was Lanier, which is a little higher entry fee, and then they take the top 20% to day 2. So it's just a 2-day tournament potentially instead of a 1-day. So same thing on Hartwell. We have our last tournament for Savannah River Division, and that's the super tournament.
All right. Adam W. Fishing, thanks for joining us tonight. He's got a question. How do you consistently stay on larger fish? And this is kind of I fish with Ryan, and he's tall. I consistently stay on the smaller fish. I like to say Ryan. Ryan does very well in it.
Just because he's tall, though?
He's tall? Did I say no? Just
he's tall.
He's tall, okay. Not he's tall.
I thought it was I fish with Ryan and he's tall. So
and he's tall. No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. He's tall. Yeah. And in watching the weigh-ins, certain guys, and in the tournaments that we watch, follow you and other guys around Lake Lanier and either other, certain guys always seem to come up with the quality bites. They always seem to, whereas we will catch 2-3 pounders, the guys that are the best always catch the 4 or the 5s. How do you do it? I mean, what is it? I know a lot of it's technique specific, but how do guys, and maybe not even you specifically, but how do guys continually catch the bigger fish?
It comes back to the time on the water thing. That's serious, and it sounds typical, but that really is what it is. Like, the more time you spend out there, you get to figure it out, and someone could tell you the perfect game plan, over the phone, or you could see it on a podcast or whatever. But at the end of the day, that's not going to
catch someone else's fish.
You can't fit. Yeah, that's right. You can't. Ryan says that all the time.
I think I know what your next question is going to be.
Well, go ahead and ask it.
Are you a meticulous log keeper?
Log keeper,
like
you are.
Yeah.
After the BFLs, that's probably the only thing I will like. Usually after a big tournament, you have like a really raw mindset about everything, and you kind of have one thing where you're like, if I don't write this down right now, I'm gonna forget it. Now we'll do that, but after a day of fishing, no. But if after a big tournament, I'm like, damn, I don't want to forget this for next year, I'll go into my notes and
So you do keep some notes and stuff.
Yeah, but no, I don't do a log or anything like that.
Right, you're not ADHD about it. You're not.
I think that probably hurt me more than helped me.
And why?
Just because I'd be going out there and going off preconceived notions again. And I know that you're kind of thinking of taking notes as defeating that purpose, but I think if you just go out there with a fresh mindset every day.
That is right.
It's like what I've told you before. As you go out there with a preconceived notion, and then as you expand on your preconceived notion, I caught them on a buzz bait, for example, last year, this time of year. Go throw a buzz bait for a while. Well, damn, they're not eating it.
Yes.
So then you expand on that and you say, okay, well, maybe they're not here, so let me go do this.
Yeah.
And then you just, trial and error.
Ryan has a saying. He goes, people overthink it sometimes.
Yeah.
especially when we talk about jig colors and stuff like that.
For
He says
sure. Well, I
people
couldn't tell you how many
overthink it.
times you go into a tournament and you have this like plan of like I'm gonna stop here, then here, then here, then here, and it never works.
It doesn't work out.
Do you find
Very
that
rarely,
regardless of the lake
Really.
you fish,
literally never.
yeah, seriously,
on
it
every
never
lake.
does. Yeah. Lakes that you fish, do you have at least in your mind, this area, and I'm not asking you to give up areas, I will not do that, but I know this area holds typically the average spotted bass is, or largemouth, whatever, is 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds larger. Do you know those areas, and is that just something you've learned from time on the water, or does it change like you keep saying?
It changes. I mean, like you could take the south end. Like people get hung up on like this guy's in that creek or this guy's in that creek. Every creek in the lake has big fish in it. It's just finding the places.
Boy, Ryan likes that. I know Ryan likes that answer.
No, it's true.
It is true.
That's an
It is-
excellent
it's
answer,
an
and
excellent
it is
answer.
true.
It is true. Ryan.
Everybody leave Baldridge.
Seriously, yeah.
That place does get crowded.
Oh my Lord! In the big boats.
I tried to go down there Saturday in the VFL. I pulled in there and saw like 2 of my buddies that were getting out of the mouth, so I knew they had just ran through all the stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, screw this.
Yeah, no, I absolutely.
Dylan, stay home this weekend. Watch football.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Labor
I
Day
will
Not-
say
weekend.
not
this:
in
it's
that
Labor
little
Day
boat.
weekend.
This is the last hurrah
for all them
for
yahoos.
Yep.
70% of the party goers.
Y'all get your little John boat and go out
Go
on
to a pond.
go to a
Go
pond
pond
somewhere.
fishing. Are you going this weekend?
Whatever lake you catch them giants
This is
out
actually
of.
a rare off weekend.
Yeah, and
I
it
don't
should
think we
be.
got anything.
It
You're
should
probably-
be.
He's going all the way to the grill.
And for those of you
They're going to
that
enjoy taking the weekend
That's
off
right.
this weekend.
the store
Yeah.
will be open this weekend, so listen, stay off the water, come up to Fish North Georgia, hang out with Ryan. Being that I'm going out of town, I was going to spend the day with my lady, but if not, I might be up here too. But come up here to the store and talk to Ryan. Stay safe this weekend. He's absolutely right. This is the last hurrah for all your big guys and stuff like that, and big boats. Which
Well, no, we got the Scott Barnes Trail coming up.
is that this weekend? Is Scott throwing?
No,
a
that's
tur-
next weekend, but he's got that whole trail going into the fall.
You know what? I'm really glad to see that he decided. I know at one
Me
time.
too. Scott's awesome.
One time, yeah, Scott's a good guy. He's helped us out a lot. I really like him. Our wives work together, so I've known Kelly and him for a while. But he talked about hanging it up for a little bit.
I think he was having some issues with
Man, the
core.
core was making it. The core
You still
listen,
are.
If anybody's watching this, the core,
Where do you put in
you're a
primarily?
pain in the ass.
What's that?
Where do you put in primarily?
Charleston. Just because
So
it's
you're not
right
gonna
next to
have-
Hammond's.
So
that's where
you're,
I store
you're not
my
going to
boat.
have the issue.
Yeah, there you go. Hammond's
Yeah.
again a local bait. Local tackle
Bring
shop.
us
You guys-
Cooper's question.
So, Cooper, what hard swim baits do you prefer? You throw hard baits a lot?
Yeah. The sweet baits are good. Sabiles are good. I mean, they all work. Like the Sabile's a lot more subtle than the sweet bait.
Right.
And I even mess around with like the old triple trouts a good bit. They've got a really wild action.
There you go.
Yeah, if you got like a whole bunch of wind or some really nasty weather.
What makes it when you go out? What makes it in your mind? I'm gonna throw a hard swim bait today. Is there certain conditions
Dylan's
you look
hard
for?
pressed.
Do what?
Dylan's hard pressed.
He wants to go.
Lots,
Dylan-
lots
yeah.
of wind. That's what swim bait.
You
is
like-
anywhere.
you like
If
the
you don't have
wind.
a lot of wind, it's pretty much worthless.
Okay, there you go. So that's a good little tidbit of information. Emil does not like to
Well, it's
throw
like
hard baits.
Lanier
in the
tuu
wind.
is like a wind-driven
Or without the wind.
fishery.
Oh, for
Like-
sure.
It is.
Yeah.
Like
It is. So
you got to get that
Let's see.
water
Let's go
movement.
Lanier
Otherwise,
Bass
it's
tonight
just
up
not
there.
happening.
Yeah.
did you know going into the tournament that your big bites would happen after 11 or midday, or did it pick up early?
I knew that the best possibility would be late, but like day one, I caught my 2 biggest ones in the first hour.
And you had a mix of largemouth. I think if I remember
Yeah.
you holding up the picture, you had largemouth and some
Yeah, I had
spots.
2 largemouth.
What was your big fish first day?
I didn't weigh them, but I had a spot that was probably 4 something, and then I had a 4.5 pound largemouth.
All right, and second day.
The rest were 3.5.
The second day was tougher.
Second day was tough. Yeah, they were all 2.5 pounders.
Do you think that's because of? I mean, what do you attribute to the second day being tough? Just
It
a
was
lot of
mix
fishing.
Honestly, I didn't really get the big bites, and then I also had terrible execution. Day one, I put everything in the boat. Day two, I didn't. But that's just fishing out there. Like the nature of the way you fish offshore, like those fish, like the way they eat it and stuff. Like you're gonna miss them, you're gonna lose them. It's like you can't really complain about it. But
Yeah. No, I appreciate your honesty because a lot of guys would blame it on anything else. You're saying basically you didn't execute.
Yeah, no, I didn't get as many big bites, and the ones I did get, I broke one off and lost two in the last half hour. But I mean, everyone does, so it's not.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Let's see, scroll up just a little bit. I think there was one more question right above that one that I missed. No, I did ask that from Lanier Baston. So Scratch Fishing wants to know, what's your thoughts about this past weekend? 17-pound day 1, 12-pound day 2. What contributed to the smaller fish on day 2?
That's pretty much what I just said.
Yeah, so you think it's more, you think you probably got the big bites, you just didn't execute.
Well, I still didn't get as many, but I just didn't put them in the boat.
Was it tougher, though? Did you get more bites on day 1 than 2?
It was a lot tougher for me, but it was a lot better for a lot of other people. I just, sometimes, I mean, you can't really get too hung up about it. Sometimes you get in a bad run and you're running brush behind another guy, or you start missing them, or just didn't put them in the boat.
When it comes to these tournaments, do you like the later flights? Like a lot of guys do.
100%.
So you're 100%.
Pretty much anyone that fishes around there would prefer a later.
And that's because of the top water bite late in the day, or just
that later in the day in general is when you're going to get your bigger ones. So
okay, all right, there you go. That's good.
And like any tournament series, whether it's FLW, bass, whatever, if you draw a boat 100 and you're fourth flight and you gain an hour in the afternoon, like let's say you check in at 4 and first flight checks in at 3, you only lose 15 minutes that morning.
Right.
So anytime you're a later flight, you're gaining a lot more time later in the day than you're losing in the morning. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, I want to take the time right now while we're here. I want about our sponsor here. We got another sponsor, Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. Guys, listen, Dave and the guys down there do a great job, located at 2595 Buford Dam Road. Listen, they're kind of like us. They're customer service oriented. Dave and the guys will set you up. They've got live bait if you're a live bait guy. They got all the bass stuff that you need. If you're a trout guy that likes to fish behind Buford Dam Road, listen, they absolutely can set you up there. They got TNT trout stuff. Actually, we're going to get them here in the store too. But Dave, actually, this is what kind of guy Dave is. He has helped us out here at Fish North Georgia with companies and stuff, and setting us up with distributors and companies. So companies, that just tells you a little bit about Dave and the guys. About wanting to build up the fishing community. And we absolutely think the world of them guys down there. They're open Sunday through Thursday, 5:30 to 7 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 5:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Again, that's 2595 Buford Dam Road. That's right over there where Paul lives, right over there by Lanier Beach South.
Right over where
it is right there. And Paul is actually the one that actually told us about Buford Dam a long time ago. What do you think about the guys over there at Buford Dam?
Love them. They've hooked me up with a lot of live bait during winter to do some striper fishing.
Right.
They've got me some good deals on some hard baits to go trout fishing. And obviously they got everything you need to go catch some bass on Lanier. They
do. It's a cool little shop. Guys, you can call them at 706-429-7211.
I don't know if the guy's still there, but whoever it is in the gas station making biscuits is
the gas station
he's
next door.
He's pretty good at his trade.
And I noticed too that
everything you need right there.
I went over there on a Friday evening. They had I guess it was with the gas station, but they had a barbecue guy out in the parking lot selling barbecue. So, guys, listen, go to Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. If you can't come here to Fish North Georgia, that's your next best stop right there. Tell Dave and the guys that you heard about it here on the Livewell here at Fish North Georgia. We appreciate Dave and all the guys they do, Alan Hansard, all them. Hey, good group of guys. I like going over there. They carry our True Grit jigs. Love talking to them. Always a good time when I see those guys. But again, they will give you what you need. They're not going to try to sell you a bunch of fluff. They're going to give you what you need to be successful on the water. Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. Yeah, get you some more. Absolutely. Right there. So,
Dylan.
Allatoona hit a home run.
Dylan, you need to really think hard about going. Bad as you want to go, bad as you got a new boat, dude. You need to really think hard about going this weekend.
I agree.
They will start their thing Saturday morning at 7.
Yeah. Labor Day weekend is
if
tough.
you're going out of Vans, I'd take a right and I'd press it far back in that creek and fish shallow, and you get what you get, and you get off early.
I will say this: everybody knows how much.
A lot of drinking this weekend.
That's it.
On a regular weekend.
Dylan borrow my kayak so he can fish Latham.
Latham, yeah. Go to Latham. Yeah, try something else. I will say this: listen,
I'll take him out on Latham.
Everybody knows how much we love Eric. How much we love. That is not a past tense. We love Eric. and we don't want to see any of our other viewers have an accident on the water, especially at somebody else's
Coop.
expense. So
Cooper's got a lot of talk because he don't have to drive the boat, and he's also got 21-foot boat with his
That's right.
daddy. So
Matthew Smith has another question for you. How do you adjust your approach when when fishing pressure tournaments?
So like I guess we've been talking about Lanier the whole time. But
Yeah,
like,
you can talk
lakes in
anything.
general.
Yeah, let's talk about that because you fish a lot of tournaments on Allatoona.
Yeah. Like fishing, like everyone's gonna find the obvious stuff, like a big point, a big hump, just obvious places. But, like even if you're fishing shallow, like you can, let's say you're throwing topwater on the bank, and a lot of guys are doing that. Some of those just flat, dookie looking places that nobody would pull up on. There might be some really good fish on it, and nobody's hit it. And at that point, you're better off throwing at a place that might only have 3 fish instead of 20. But if they haven't been thrown at, it doesn't matter.
Allatoona has got the reputation. And again, now it has, here lately, there's been some really big bags coming out of Lake Allatoona.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks, we've heard about some really big largemouth being
how
caught.
big's big?
I was going to say it's
relative.
single big fish, yeah.
Single big fish. But there's been some.
And they pretty much all come from.
So what would be an average bag on Allatoona?
For a night
the Monday nighter every night is like all the best on Allatoona. Fish that series, and I would say typically to win if you're around that. Again, it changes every week, obviously, but between 10 and 12.
Is this 3 fish or 5 fish?
5 fish.
Yeah, so Allatoona is full of the 12 to 14 inch.
Yeah, 1-pounders.
But there are some guys on Allatoona that can consistently get that kicker, and we're always talking about that kicker largemouth. There's been some big kickers caught, recently on Allatoona. On a tournament on Allatoona, is your mindset different than a tournament on, say, Lanier, Hartwell? You fall like where you go.
Yeah,
it is different.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, Allatoona is junk fishing. Lanier isn't. You can get super dialed in on Lanier, but Allatoona, you can literally go out and win a tournament one night doing one thing, and you can go out there the next night and do the exact same thing and catch nothing.
Let's talk about Allatoona for a second. Ryan and I went and fished it. I fished it a few times, but electric only tournaments, limited to Stamp Creek.
Yeah.
Ryan and I went out there and fished a little live with Dane Hunter and Jonathan Farmer. But again, we were still kind of in that Stamp Creek area. We went out of what was it, Gatewood?
Yeah.
Gatewood. And we only got to fish it that little bit. How does Allatoona?
We didn't need to go far.
We didn't go far. They were schooling like crazy. No, we didn't go far. They were schooling and all that.
Stupid.
It's a really good.
You are exactly right. You're not stupid, huh?
It's a really good numbers lake. Like you can go out there right now and catch. If you wanted to, you could fish offshore and catch 50, but your best 5 might weigh 7 pounds.
For somebody that hasn't fished Allatoona much, if you were going to give them one piece of advice right now, say somebody like Dylan, got him a brand new boat, new to fishing, he's going out to Allatoona. What would you tell him to target right this time of year and maybe for the next month?
A lot. Allatoona, they draw it down pretty much the same every year.
They do,
and they started drawing it down recently, which made.
How far down is it right now?
I don't know exactly, honestly. A couple, 3-4 feet, maybe.
I think Dane said last night I was down to 4 feet.
Yeah.
4 feet. Okay.
So
when they drain Allatoona, when they start it, they start it.
They do.
Yeah,
They
and
don't.
usually when they do that, the shallow bite gets a lot better because you have all these like not flooded, but like bushes in the water and deep drains and stuff, and then the water falls and it gets a lot more predictable. So
Concentrate.
but even like I
Yeah,
mean, we
that
fished
makes
last
sense.
Monday this Monday and we fished brush, we fished pockets with a top water, we cranked a few banks. They're also night tournaments. I don't fish that much there all during the day, but threw a night blade a lot. A big worm and piles.
What's your favorite night blade?
War Eagle?
You're a War Eagle guy.
Yeah, they make a really good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you find, I guess when you're throwing a night blade, you slow cranking it, staying in contact with the bottom and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've noticed a huge key with those, whether it's a night blade, another big spinnerbait, a chatterbait, anything like that. Like a 6-something to 1 gear ratio makes a massive difference. Because I don't care who you are. Like if you're throwing it on an 8-something, you can sit there and tell yourself you're fishing it slow enough. But that 6-something's a lot better because you can reel it at a comfortable pace and it's still staying down.
Do you have any particular brands of gear and stuff that you like to throw as far as your rods and reels?
Yeah, any bottom contact stuff, G Loomis, and then
Okay.
any moving baits, Dobbins.
You like Dobbins? Okay.
Loomis in general is a lot stiffer. and like they don't have like very soft tips, or like a lot of them, in my opinion, don't. So I use those for bottom baits, like the NRXs and whatnot, and then for moving baits, the Dobbins. And I got a lot of Furies. They're $120 rods. They're not super expensive, and they just, in general, the Dobbins have way more bendy, parabolic,
A little more
action.
parabolic, yeah.
Yeah, and they just, for moving baits, I've just found you don't lose nearly as many.
Yeah.
Of them.
When you select a rod,
But they do break. Like, I'm not with them. I don't care. Like
yeah, no, absolutely. Tell
the
us how
quality on them, like the guides fall off and stuff. But
on the
actions-
Dobbins.
yeah, the actions are hard to beat.
So you like the actions, the quality of the rod.
It's not bad quality. It's just
Right,
the
right.
Loomis is the best of the best. So those, you can have a Loomis for years and it'll still be solid. And even if you break an NRX, it's $100 and you get a brand new one.
How did you, when you started getting serious into fishing, how did you kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, you are an Abu guy when it comes to reels. When it comes to reels, but there's time spent on the water. How do you kind of decide, I like this brand, or, what made you decide to go with Dobbins?
Well, even like I've got like some old, like reels wise, I've got some old loses that I'll never get rid of, like the original, or not, I don't even know if they're the original, but the BB1 Pros where they had that real deep, wide spool and like a big handle on them. Like I've got 3 or 4 of those that are irreplaceable. But other than that, it's just Shimano, because I feel like the new loose stuff, it just doesn't last all that well. And I feel like Shimano is really the only brand right now. I know Daiwa makes some really good stuff too. I'm trying to get into that, but
Right.
I think at the end of the day, if you fish a lot, it's just stuff that you can fish with day in and day out that doesn't break.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. Let's say we're going into September. Hell, that's actually September 1st tomorrow. Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It just all flows. So as you get older, and you're what, 24?
Yeah.
Dude, listen, as you get older, it's Christmas one day, July 4th the next day, and it's right back to Christmas.
Yes,
it all flies,
sir.
It all flies together. So enjoy your youth. Let me tell you that while you're at it, and follow your dreams right now. But let's talk about going into September. What patterns are you looking for, regardless of the lake? And you can go lake by lake. What do you think the fish are going to be doing in September? And what are you going to be targeting, especially on your guide trips?
On Lanier?
Lanier, Allatoona, Hartwell. Where are you going to, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Where are you going to fish next month, tournament-wise?
I got the super tournament on Hartwell.
That's
but
on Hartwell.
It's still the same thing as all summer. It's just tougher.
Okay.
September in general is just tougher.
September in general is, yeah.
It just September just kind
You're
of.
still doing the same thing you've been doing all summer. There's a little more, since the water's fallen, like I said, you can do a little more topwater fishing, like shallow.
Right.
And
There
there's
you go.
some new stuff that show up largemouth wise, but in general, it's the same thing you've been doing. It's
Yeah.
just, you gotta
September is always tough on, and not just on like a herring lake, but on all lakes.
Any
September,
reservoir.
yeah, reservoir specific. September is tough because you've got a certain population of the fish that are going to continue to do the same thing that they've been doing all summer, and then you have another population of the fish that know from experience, even though we treat them like they're stupid fish, they've been through many moons and many winters. They know what's happening. They know what's fixing to
They've
come.
been fished for all summer
Yeah.
where they're at.
Yeah.
Yes, and so yeah, exactly.
Nathan, can you pull up Frank's comment? I'd like to read that. Let's see. I'm from North Carolina. Just dropped in tonight. This is one of the best shows I've joined. Enjoy it greatly. All fishing. Keep it up. Hey, listen.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Hit that subscribe button. And listen, first of all, let me tell you, Frank, thank you, number one, for dropping in and joining us. We appreciate it. This is a hell of a group of followers that we have, guys that are in here every now normally it's Thursday night, but of course tonight's Wednesday, but we have a great group of guys, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to drop in, and just thank you very much. It means a lot to us to hear that compliment like that. We try. We're a bunch of good old yahoos from North Georgia, and we have fun with what we do, but we love to talk fishing, and so we're definitely glad. And again, our guest Emil tonight, he's one of the hottest. How does that make you feel when I say you're one of the hottest anglers in North Georgia? You are, dude. You're running it pretty good right now.
Drop the hair care, Reggie.
The hair.
And you listen, and
See,
listen.
we made Paul do that last year.
Yeah.
You made it more.
We made Paul. He actually sat over there and we said someone asked him. He said, "What's your hair care regimen?" Because
Paul
Paul
Jr.,
was
Paul
winning a lot
Jr.,
of stuff.
Paul
Marks.
This
Yeah.
time last
So let's
year.
ask you. What do you do for your hair, dude? You got, you're young, good looking
Oh,
guy.
Paulie has some locks,
He
dude.
does.
Like,
Did he not get them cut off?
him and Butler.
Yeah. Do you have any special regimen for your hair?
No,
You
I
might get
Dove shampoo the night before. I always just shower at night.
Let it
Hey,
bleach.
listen.
Let it bleach out in the sun. You
Listen,
California
seriously.
surfer.
You got.
See,
that,
he's
you got
like
that
Paul, 'cause-
California look, man.
Because Paul is gullible and as innocent as Paul is. I know you know Paul. I know y'all are buddies and stuff. But he actually texted his mom and he was like, "Mom, what shampoo do I
Yeah,
use?"
right on the line. We asked him
My
that.
mom doesn't buy my shampoo.
That's
But he
good.
sat over there and waited for her to reply for about 4 minutes.
He did
and
not
she
know what
texted
kind of
him back.
shampoo and
What
stuff.
kind was it?
It was that,
Oh man, what
that
was it?
Aussie stuff, that purple bottle. or
Was it
whatever
Aussie?
Yeah, I think
No
it was.
way.
Yeah, it was nice stuff. Paul's
it was
only
nice
listen, Paul
stuff.
Jr. is only
Keep it
going to fish with
classy.
the good stuff right
I
there.
got the
So
2-in-1.
there you go.
That's what
That's
I
good.
use. I use two
Yes,
in one.
sir.
too.
Yeah. All right. Scratch fishing biscuits. Who has the best and why would be a great topic for your other show for the A list. We might do that. Thank
That
you very
biscuit
much.
Place. If it's that biscuit place, I will fight somebody.
There's a lot of biscuits.
I
I've
will
heard-
say if you're going to Charleston, that biscuit place is good, but that shell right before you hit a right onto Charleston, that makes some good
Right there at
biscuits.
Young
Is
I've
that-
heard,
is
I've
that
heard
Dale?
rumors
Okay.
about Rabbit Town Cafe.
Oh,
Right, they're very good. See, that's just the way
Rabbit
we
Town.
go.
That's,
So
that's Harold Grizzle's
so
part of town.
he said the shell going in at Charleston has good,
Yeah,
good
like right
biscuits.
before you hit that right, there's a shell right there.
Okay, for you guys fishing Lake Lanier, go into the shell, buy a biscuit, tell them you heard about it on Fish North Georgia. We might get them as a sponsor one of these days. But anyway, so again, you're supporting local business like that. Lanier Bassin, would you say you scroll it down one for me if you don't mind? Would you?
All right.
And
All right, we're back. We're
Nathan
back.
fat fingered it.
We're back. He fat fingered it. Lanier Bassin, right
There
there.
we go.
Would you say make more casts in an area or a point hump in the morning and speed up time spent in an area the later it gets?
Ooh, that's an
Oh, so
interesting question.
So what he's saying is in the morning you're speed fishing and then later as the day goes you're kind of
Other way around.
It
slowing
depends.
down.
That would depend.
If it's sunny, like and they're concentrated on stuff, like in the morning, you might have to look around a little bit more. And then later in the day, they might be like, yeah, they're going to be right there. But if it's cloudy, definitely spend a little more time in a place.
Okay, all right. That's a very good question. I'd rather eat Chick-fil-A. Listen to that. I love all you comments like that. Also, too, keep us updated on the Braves score.
We back.
And I hope the Mets are losing to the Dodgers again like that. So let me ask you this. You said you like the power fish.
Mm-hmm.
You got a particular brand of baits you like to use and stuff like that?
All over the board. I mean, obviously the 6 cent stuff is awesome, but like
You like
use
6
others.
cents, though.
Yeah, their crankbaits are awesome. Like I throw them like the 300 DD series, the 500 DD. Those are awesome. They make a really good fluke. I want to say they call it the flush.
Okay.
It's got all sorts of like ribs on it and fins and stuff. They'll eat that really good. But I mean, as far as like in general, everyone makes something good in their own respective category.
I agree with that. But you do like 6 cents.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And so how about when you go to drop shot and stuff like that? Got a particular brand you like to use?
They make a good worm, the ridge worm, and then obviously the robo worm's really good. You really can't beat that with the rebarb hook from Gamakatsu.
Okay. All right. Excellent choices right there. Yeah, we apologize for that. We did lose you for just a second, but we are back.
Wait,
And, it's okay.
Scroll us back up and let's see what James Collins is saying about fishing for redfish.
No, he's not talking about fishing for redfish.
What's he talking about fishing?
He's talking about Big Red's biscuit.
Oh, Big Red's biscuit.
Big
Oh, my
Red
bad.
Biscuit
My
Place.
bad.
Okay. Jeremiah Giles.
I need my life to be changed.
Here's a good question. How about the winter bite? How does Lake Lanier differ from Allatoona in the winter?
Just in the sense that it's got a ton of herring in it. So on Allatoona, they draw it down like crazy every year.
Right.
So it fishes way better. Like you see 14, 15, 16, 17 pound bags pretty often in the wintertime on Allatoona, because I literally think it's just the nature of the fact that in the summer they're spread out everywhere.
Congregate
And they
them.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah.
congregate on little channel swings and ditches and stuff, and it's not, it's not nearly as hard to find them.
And they don't move like they do in them.
Not on Lanier.
Yeah.
I'd say on Lanier, they're
Not
more
as much
spread
room to
out.
roam.
So the nature of, and I asked this question because I've had several people I've done podcasts with. Henry Cowan, I don't know if you know him. He's big on the fly fishing for stripers and stuff on there, but he's also had a couple
Tatum.
guys that he's taking clients out that have line class records fishing for spotted bass on the fly. Certain leader, that whole fly fishing world's a different world, and I'm trying to learn. It is. That Hey Daddy.
Yeah, I know that's one of my buddies.
Oh,
Like,
I know.
just wants to stay.
No,
I know that's probably
No, that's
Tatum.
probably Tatum.
That's my daughter. Remember me telling you before? I said you're 24 and single and good looking and all that. I knew she'd show up right there. So, hey Tatum, I love you. He is single right now. He's a good looking dude. He
You
talks.
making him red.
He talks very well. Hey, listen, she got a nurse.
Listen, the man has fish to catch. He ain't got time for
Two
no
words
woman.
for you, buddy.
Listen to me.
Sugar mama.
She's got a nursing degree. She works down at
She's
Choa,
loaded.
Eggleston and Choa. She makes the
Loaded.
jack. She makes the jack.
She's loaded.
She is. I'm
Very
just,
sweet.
She is. She's very. I give her a hard time.
And
but
she's
anyway.
been dealing with this guy. her
And
whole
she's been
life,
dealing
so-
with me. So yeah. No. Anyway,
Loaded.
I just. She makes a lot of money. Man. I had to embarrass you like that. But Tatum, he is a good looking guy. Look him up on Facebook at Emil Wagner right there.
Slide up in them DMs.
Slide up in them DMs.
Man.
He has my
So
seal
you
of
got
approval
about-
so
you got
far.
about
Yeah.
20 minutes left, and Danny's going to at least put you in one uncomfortable situation before that hour and a half.
My
Uh,
mom just called me. I gotta go.
Your mom just called me. Got to go. I understand that. So, anyway,
Got to get home before the streetlights
Look,
come
Dylan was on here a couple weeks ago, and we kind of embarrassed him, Dilly,
Right.
and we'll teach you the meaning of yum yum when you get a little older like that. So, you know what yum yum is?
Just before senior
Yum
prom.
yum sauce out of hibachi.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
kind of.
Yes,
like that.
exactly, and nothing else.
That's what we're gonna go with. When we get off
Yes,
there, I'll teach you what
exactly,
yum-
and
I'll tell you
nothing
what
else.
yum yum means. So I'm gonna get a T-shirt made. I'm gonna start wearing yum yum and sell them like that. No, it's what I was asking before we got sidetracked, which we do often here. Do you find a difference in the fish, size aside? Henry Cowan told me, and you can say yes or no to this. He said if he hooked a 5-pound bass at Allatoona, and he tied spotted bass, we're talking about spotted bass. If he tied a 5-pound Allatoona spotted bass to the tail of a 5-pound Lanier bass, that Allatoona bass would drag it all over the lake.
No.
No.
He actually said that
Nah.
on the
No,
podcast.
I've caught a lot of all the big spots I've caught on Allatoona. I don't think I've ever caught 5 there because a 5-pound spot's a giant.
Oh, it's a giant on
But I've
Allatoona.
caught several over 4, and I mean they're all built the same. They're this long, and they're not built out.
Long and lean.
So I guarantee you. the Lanier one.
Them,
So
them Coosa strain that have herring in their bellies and been living on herring, when you lay into one, it's
Right.
you know what it is when you get it.
Yeah, look,
I'm screenshotting that face.
Yeah.
look at Michael Temples. Tatum, you might be able to book a trip with him like that. So there we go. I don't know.
Use daddy's
I don't know.
credit card.
He's pretty good. You're not using my money, but again, she makes more money than I do. So there you go, like that. So let's talk about the future coming up for you. We know you're going to continue with your guiding and all that. So that's going pretty good. But what about the tournaments? What are you looking at? What is Emil looking at for the rest of 2022 and into 2023?
We got the BFLs to finish out, and then we got the 2 regional championships, and then just local tournaments. Scott Barnes's trail, anything I can get into on the weekend, and then next year the Toyota Series.
Okay,
That's what I'm planning on. Yeah, that
Hey.
opens if it wasn't all 9, but yeah, the Toyota Series.
Yeah, and you mentioned we talked a little bit about that about the Open Series being all night. Kind of address that with our listeners, or viewers, however we want to say they are. But I mean, what is it about
they
that?
changed it this year or this coming year to previously they took 3 guys from the Southern, 3 guys from the Central, 3 guys from the Northern, and 3 guys from the overall, which are the guys who fished all 3 divisions. And this coming year, they're cutting 3 guys, so they're only taking 9 instead of 12, as if it wasn't hard enough already.
And what does this qualify you for?
The Elite Series.
The Elite Series, okay.
and then they're only taking them from the overall. So you have to fish all night to get to the elites.
And so just the
It
fact that
just
you
makes
got
it super
it
expensive.
makes it super expensive. We
But
talked
I
about
get
that.
it. Like they've got their reasons for doing it. So
Right, but the expenses of tournament fishing is something that a lot of people don't realize. They see, the Kevin Van Dams and all that of the world, and they're like, "Oh, this is great," but they have no idea what it costs.
So obviously, your dreams and aspirations is to become a professional, correct? If you could have a choice, and you solely had your own choice,
I know where this is going.
What one would you want to make it to? Elite Series, MLF?
it's hard to say because I think the BPT might have a little more. Like if we're being honest, you're trying to make a living and make as much money as you can.
Yeah.
And I think the BPT and even the pro circuit. I know the pro circuit's got like a 102% payout right now, which I mean, let's be honest, bass fishing payouts kind of suck, and that's not bad. And I know the BPT, I mean, you get to the BPT through the pro circuit, and if you get to the BPT, they've got a bunch of money in the heavy hitters, which is like a whole separate deal.
Mm-hmm.
They've got money in AOY, all sorts of stuff. But then the Elite Series, I think you've got the fan base more on your side, and I think the payouts are getting better over there. So it's really hard to say. I think you make good arguments for both sides, but in a perfect world, probably the Elite Series.
Okay, that's a good answer. Frank Arnold, again, our friend from North Carolina. Again, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Never fished Lake Lanier. It's on my bucket list. Ain't that crazy? Before I go, that you get outside of North Georgia, Lanier is a bucket list destination for a lot of guys.
Bassmaster just
It is a
released
little
their
bit.
top 100 lakes.
Yeah,
And last year Lanier was 100, and I think the years before that it wasn't even on the list. And this year it's 14.
well, I will tell you this. I've talked to I've known
The good old days.
Jason Johnson fished FLW. A lot of guys that fish Lanier hard. They're like, it is such a special fishery that gets overlooked and all that. But back to his question. Let's see, here we go. Never fished Lanier. It's on my bucket list. I fish Norman spots. When I go to Lanier, what would you suggest I do different?
Hire Emil Wagner.
Hire Emil Wagner, number one.
No, I mean Norman.
That's a joke.
Norman's just got a lot. Norman compares. I was gonna fish a college tournament there, but didn't end up going. And I feel like it's probably a pretty direct comparison to Allatoona. It's got a ton of spots in it, but they're just small.
So
I'd say Lanier, they roam a lot more, and they're bigger.
I tell you what, on Lanier, they are bigger for sure. I would think. I mean, sir, is there another place in the Southeast that fish per fish you could compare? Spotted bass only.
Etowah River.
No, nowhere in the Southeast.
The only place that you could stand a chance to catching multiple fish in one particular day that compared to Lanier is somewhere along the Coosa River. That's probably the only other place in the Southeast.
And you're getting out into Alabama and stuff like that.
Specifically Neely Henry.
Right.
I mean, you stand a chance to bust 5-pound spots on Neely Henry on any given day. But as far as anywhere else for spots, it's Lanier. And that's pretty much it.
I mean,
California.
California.
I was going to say, you got to go
Those
west.
are fake.
But before too long, we won't be able to bring our gas-pulled trucks into California.
Exactly.
The only argument people could really make is the California lakes, but there you're going to catch one absolute giant, but you don't have the consistency of 3 to 4 pounds.
That's right. And Hartwell is a good lake, but I think Lanier, as far as spotted bass is concerned, is probably the most consistent. And one of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong, given the blueback herring population, I've heard Ryan talk about this a lot on Lake Lanier, bluebacks are always moving. They're always on the go. So Lanier Lake, like you've mentioned it a couple of times tonight, those fish roam, they get out there. They're herring eaters. Yeah. You have your ones that don't, but the majority of the spots on Lake Lanier, they're keyed in on that herring and that herring bite.
Sure.
And I think it's the blueback herring population in Lanier that makes it so much different than a lot of the lakes around there. Mm-hmm. Allatoona has herring. We've heard enough from guys, but it doesn't sustain it like Lanier does.
Well, they're just not as big. It's got just as many of them. I think they're just not the same size.
It was only about a year ago that people were saying there's not herring on Allatoona. The striper guys will tell you different.
True. It's got alewives in it, but
okay, which is a cousin of the herring.
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar. Carter's Lake is full of alewives.
Everyone's got their own opinion on that. I don't know
But it's got one of the two.
It's probably got some herring in it. I don't know how many.
But have you seen the alewives specifically?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know.
They'll spit out like giant long bait fish that isn't a shad, but I'm not gonna act like I know the answer to that.
No, that's good though. A lot of people don't be telling them my Allatoona juice I showed you. Aspen Martin 1.
Oh yeah.
Is that one of your buddies?
He ain't saying
He's
nothing.
not.
He's not saying
he's not.
anything.
Byron Hendricks wants to know.
He's like 16. Yeah, show me.
Oh,
Aspen,
shots fired.
Aspen, there you go. What?
Aspen's one hole. Don't tell my hole.
Don't tell me what division of the Toyotas are you thinking about fishing?
It depends on the schedule. Hopefully, one or two of them on top of the.
Do you wait? You wait, and you're like, I'm gonna look at the schedule. And
Yeah,
whatever
because
works
usually
for me.
they give you they release the schedule, and then they give you 2 or 3 weeks before they open the registrations.
Okay, so fishing with Farmer Tuna has both alewives and bluebacks, which
Fun fact.
it is a fun fact.
Not
I've just heard so many
surprising.
different things. It's hard to.
It's hard. That's the one thing.
Here's a question
Here's a question.
that pertains to alewives and bluebacks. Have you noticed? I know you've been spending some time on both Lanier and Allatoona. The thermocline is very well and alive and set up on Lanier, correct? How about on Allatoona?
Dude, to be totally honest, I don't pay that much attention to it.
So you're not
I
a
didn't know you
thermocline
did not.
fisherman.
Yeah, the fish are where they're at, and I just look for the fish.
So you don't.
I mean, on Lanier, obviously, it's around that 30-foot mark right now. But
Right.
I'll be honest, I haven't even looked on Allatoona.
Okay. Hey, that's it.
Oh, Barday's alive.
Barday.
Barday.
Hi, Barday.
Alive.
Aspen
Oh, God.
is Emil's
Bring
number
that
one. dad
comment
boy.
up,
Hey,
Nathan.
Stephen
This-
Barday,
yeah,
we're
that's-
glad you joined us tonight, there, buddy. It's
He's
always good
another-
to see you.
He's another one of the Monday night guys.
Yeah,
So
Barday's a stick.
You took your money yet?
He's a stick.
He's taking some for sure.
Have you taken any of his?
I ain't getting into all
Come
that.
on now.
Come
We're
on,
gonna do-
Barday is a very good friend.
He's a friend of the show.
Barday's
No,
a
I
good
know. I'm
friend.
friends with Steve. But
Yeah,
he's
he-
a good fisherman.
He's a good guy. It's about overall time for
I was going to
Barday.
say, have you considered
Yeah, it's
switching to overalls?
yeah,
I think
are
he's
you in
moving to
overalls
Florida
yet?
Anyway, so
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah, you remember he bought that place down there in
Look out.
Indian Pass.
I thought it was just a vacation home. That is going to be that's going to break
I
my
think
heart.
it's Indian Pass. Barday can correct us or not, but I thought he said it was Indian Pass.
Oh,
Road-
okay. Well,
road
there you
trip?
go. Road trip. Yeah, we're going to go party at Barday's house when he gets down there in Florida like
You
that.
can
So
go down there in November.
I'll be down there in November. That's right. That's near Port St. Joe, right? Am I right on that, Ryan?
Port St. Joe.
Port St. Joe, Barday. I'll be down at Port St. Joe November 5th through 11th, filming with Jeff from Pivot and Zoe Angling Outdoors like that. So I don't know what we're going to be doing, but I know we're going to be doing
You be
something
going
down
fishing.
there. And I tell you what, Port St. Joe Shrimp Company is absolutely the best like that. Okay, so I got a few more minutes with you. I know you said you
you can push it a little bit.
I can push it. Are you having fun enough that we can push it a little
I'm
bit?
just saying it.
He did
If
tell-
the people want more, he's
if the
going to
people
play an
want more-
encore.
Okay, all right. So, what is your favorite finesse bait for offshore spots on Lanier? That's from Caleb Warrington. Caleb, appreciate you joining us tonight. What's your favorite offshore bait?
If I had to choose one, a drop shot or a swim bait, but again, it varies all the time.
Now, when
Which swim bait is your swim bait?
and you don't have to give us colors, but you got a particular brand you like.
Tech, that's no secret.
At Tech? Okay.
Yeah, Kitech. That you can't go wrong with a Kitech like that.
Well, that's become like a guy's, beer or soda or
Yeah.
whatever else.
Right,
You got
have-
one that you
Yeah.
like.
you have
But
your favorite.
there's probably 6 or 7 different companies that make a total replica to it now. So
Or you feel like they're one for one the same.
Have you? Let me ask you this: have you
I
tried?
haven't thrown any of the other ones, but they look the exact same.
You got one.
I
you
will
believe
say
in.
this: that I tried Berkeley's Power
Yeah,
Swimmer.
Yeah.
They're very good. They're a little tougher than the Kitechs.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
They're
They
tougher than the
also-
Kitechs. That's my only downfall with Kitechs is they're very, very soft. But I don't know that my fish
Little
catch,
super glue will take you far, sir.
It will, but I don't know that my fish catch has improved. It's kind of hard to go away from a Kitech. Yes or no? I don't like that. What's your confidence bait?
There isn't one. It literally changes.
All right, let me ask you this: if you had one bait to throw for the rest of your life, what is Emil Wagner going to throw for the rest of his life? You only get one. What are you going to throw?
Probably a jig. You can swim it. You can fish it on the bottom. You can treat it like a top water. You can do everything with it.
We haven't talked that much about jig fishing and stuff like that. Is that a pretty big, strong thing in your repertoire?
Yeah. Yeah.
You like throwing a
Late in
jig?
the year, yeah. In the fall and the winter time for sure.
How often do you follow when you fish a jig? Do you have certain? And again, I don't want your colors, but you have certain colors that you fish year round, or do you follow?
The color really doesn't matter that much, in my opinion.
Okay, good answer. Why is that?
I just think if you get it in front of a hungry one, I mean, whether it's green or green orange or green purple.
You think it's more they're going to react to the
Yeah,
bait
you
than
can
what's
get
the
hung
color?
up on stuff that doesn't make that big of a difference at the end of the day.
I love that answer, and the reason I say that is Ryan ties jigs for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and we'll get guys that if this particular jig has 5 strands of chartreuse in it, they want 2. They get into that, and Ryan's always like, "Man, they are overthinking it. They are overthinking it." So,
Yeah.
Too deep.
what about a jig trailer? What's your favorite jig trailer?
Like a Zoom speed crawl.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and the twin tails are good. I mean,
Okay, yeah.
in the summertime you want more action, so something like a rage crawl or a speed crawl.
You
And then
mentioned
later in the year something more subtle.
jigs, and you said you can swim it, you can do all this. Do you throw? And I say this, a lot of guys will take a standard Arky jig,
Mhm.
and they'll use that for their swim jig. They'll use it for everything. They just use that one jig. Are you the kind of guy that does that, or do you like to switch up to like a true? I got that bug. A true swim jig, stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely switch it up.
You
I've
switch it
got
up?
Specific ones.
When do you throw swim jigs? Is there a time of year?
Never really on our lakes. I mean, if I'm around grass or
More of a grass lake
Yeah.
like that for you. Okay, interesting. Very much. So have you ever tried any
I
of the
pond fish a lot. I throw them a lot in ponds all the time.
swim jigs?
Yeah, because you get a jig you can throw on the bottom and then you can swim it down a bank or whatever.
Okay, no, absolutely. Have you tried any of the cast baits? Like the OG herring?
I threw that OG herring for a minute when it first came out. And it caught some big ones for sure.
Now you have to work that a little bit different
Yeah.
than that. Did it take you a little while? Was there a learning curve with that? Or is that not your style? Or
No, I mean, it's just, you go out there for 30 minutes with it, you can figure it out. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, you can either work it with your rod, pump it down, or you can speed reel it to get it go down and up. But it's not crazy hard to figure out.
okay, do you like that bait? I mean, is it?
Yeah.
I know it's a good bait, and I know
It's different more than anything.
It is different.
Like they've seen so many things that's
That is very true. Like that. So again, like I said, I won't take you too much
So,
longer.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lake you haven't been to that you want to go to?
any of those big northern St. Lawrence River, Cayuga Lake.
Okay. So any of the big smallmouth fisheries, the
Yeah,
Great Lakes
yeah,
fisheries,
I've not got to smallmouth fish very often.
would recommend.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
We've got a plan in place for next summer.
What's
You
that
should
plan?
join us.
Are we gonna go with LJ?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're going to go up there to the St. Lawrence River
St. Lawrence
in
River.
like June.
I had a
July.
chance a couple times this summer, but gas is just so expensive.
Oh my gosh, I know it's crazy. What about crankbaits? Do you throw them a lot? And I heard guys were catching them on crankbaits this weekend in the BFL, square bills specifically.
Ooh.
How much time do you
I
throw
throw
crank?
square bills a lot, but not on linear too much. But I do crank a lot, like in the fall and the winter time.
Say, of all the baits we have up at the shop, I would say my least confident, and I love throwing a rock crawler,
Yeah,
but that's your 14 foot and up, or whatever. Do you do a lot of deep cranking?
yeah,
You like deep cranking,
yeah.
okay?
Yeah. I mean, it depends where you're at, but yeah, like that 6 cents bait I was telling you about.
I was
the
gonna
300
ask you.
DD,
Yeah.
that one dives like 17 to 20, not quite 20, but like 17, 18 right in there, and you can like take the tops of stuff, whether it's a brush pile or the end of a rock pile. Or something.
What makes you put a crankbait on it? What is it about the conditions, the lake? What are you looking for? And you say, you know what, I'm gonna throw a crankbait today.
Wind, you get bigger bites on it.
So I've noticed you mentioned wind several times. You mentioned wind when it comes to like the Seville. Oh, no, what was it? What were we talking about earlier? You said,
Yeah, any moving bait wins your friend for sure.
let's say you come up to a point. How do you, and it's a windy day, how do you approach a point? And we can use Lake Lanier, but you can use Hartwell, Allatoona. Is there a certain way, like the wind's blowing on this point? How do you approach it? Do you approach it into the wind, throwing with the wind?
It depends. Like if there's like a hard seam on one side of the point where the wind like it's blowing real hard and then it stops on the other side of the point, that's usually a good place to cast. But if I usually like to throw against the wind.
You like throw against the wind.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. So like
It's
that.
more natural.
Harold Grizzle, wake up, Ryan. Hey, Ryan's listening. He's taking notes and stuff like that. So, speaking of hard baits, he sent Daniel Truitt. Good deal. He's hooking him up. Daniel Truitt's one of the local, guys like there. Beast Beats Slayton AI. You know what that's a comment, and I have no idea what that means. Maybe you can kind of
So
give us a little more detail.
I have another playing off of Scratch Fishing's question about crankbaits.
Yeah.
And I heard guys do you put any stock into dock talk? Such as it is.
I will say that's a huge thing. Like earlier when you're less confident, like you just go around listening to other people, but that just messes you up. Like more than anything, like y'all said earlier, you can't get on anyone else's fish. So if you go out there confident in what you're doing, you're 10 times more likely to do well.
And piggybacking on that, so let's say you got a tournament at Hartwell.
I mean, think about it this way.
Yeah.
If somebody's on fish and they're on fish to win, why would they be talking about it to everybody?
We have noticed that. That makes sense. Let's say you got a tournament on Hartwell, and let's say you've never fished Hartwell before. Just in theory, you've never fished Hartwell, and you got a big tournament coming up there in a couple weeks. How do you what are you laughing at?
He's got a big tournament coming up next week. I don't know if you're
Okay, shit. All right,
He actually.
all right, let me rephrase that. Let's say you got a tournament on Eufaula in 2 weeks. You've never fished Eufaula before. What kind of prep do you do? What kind of resources do you kind of look into to kind of get an idea of what you're going to be doing? We've heard this from several guys, and everybody's a little bit different. But how about for you?
If I've got some really close friends, like I've got like a certain group of guys that I'll talk to, like if I know they've spent time down there or been down there, I'll call them because I know that we're buddies and like any info we give each other is legit. But
right.
I think back in the day, I'd look up fishing reports and stuff or like whatnot. But
so you kind of utilize your friends a little bit more.
You can kind of pick, like if you're going on Eufaula, like late in the summer right now, like you're probably going to catch ledge fish, brush fish, and some shallow fish, and you know what you're good at. And depending on how much time you have to practice,
okay,
you put your time towards that.
I'm fishing Blue Ridge this weekend and look forward to it. Hey, listen, that is a smallmouth opportunity.
That's going to be a fun trip.
Blue Ridge is good. Do you get it?
Bring your own rock to stand
I heard there's
on.
not many left though.
There's not many left, and there's a lot of the spots have interbreeded with a lot of them, so they got kind of hybrids, mean mouse and stuff like that. So
smots and spolies, and
they got a little bit of everything. So like that. So do you map research? Let's see, Michael Temple's. So do you map research and stuff like that? Do you get on YouTube and stuff, look for maps?
I watch a ton of fishing YouTube. That's one thing. I don't really watch like TV or anything, but fishing YouTube, I watch a ton of YouTube.
Have you ever used
any favorite channels?
So many of them. I don't
know. Just give us a couple.
Like Fish North Georgia. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, Fish North Georgia, totally.
But seriously, like, what's your favorite YouTube channel to like?
I don't really have one. There's a lot of the elite guys run like good just raw channels where you can watch them like through their practice and tournament days, and those are really good.
Okay.
And then like a lot of pretty much just like tournament videos, not a lot of like the entertainment side.
So you're watching more specific information kind of things, or just what guys are doing instead.
Yeah, just guys like fishing or like Bass Live. Like if you ever have time to tune into that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So
are you a Randy Blockett fan?
That guy drives me nuts.
Oh yeah,
Randy drives you nuts.
You all right?
You
all right, dude.
So I would piggyback on that.
I just feel like he's running out of ideas. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would piggyback on that. If you're watching pros fish, to make an analogy, like a pro football scout watches football differently than I watch football.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How do you watch a professional fisherman fish that is different than I might, just as a casual?
Yeah, what are you looking for when you're watching a pro fish? It's got to be in the details.
It's not really anything that different. It's just like how are they approaching their day,
Is it
whatever.
is it
Like, it's not like I'm not going into a video looking for a specific thing. You're just, you watch it over and over and over, and in your head, it's
You got a
it
favorite
just
pro?
starts to click?
not really. I mean, Polinick's been a good one for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely look up to him. He's his work ethic and everything's solid.
My biggest thing they do for me is they start doing one thing and then they make a change, and
Seeing
I
when
kind of
and
try
how.
to pay attention to when and why and where they made the change. Just more to hone my own skills, I guess.
Yeah, and so Stephen Bardet commented, "Doc Talk will kill you, fish your fish,"
Yeah, that's true.
like that. So, all right. So I tell you what, I think this is a great place to kind of end it. I told you, about 9:30 and all that. So, first of all, I want to thank you for taking your time to come up here. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You got a great personality and stuff like that. And guys, listen, you need to keep up with Emil on. Let's pop your social media again one more time, and where can people, number one, kind of keep up with you, and also again make sure you tell everybody where they can book a guide trip with you.
Yeah, so if you want to go on a trip, it's just emilwagnerfishing.com. You can book a trip through there. Emails emilwagnerfishing@gmail, and then if you want to reach me directly, just 404-775-0462.
Okay, excellent. And guys, listen. So next week, we're gonna be talking to the ABA guys. Is that correct, Ryan? I'll be out of town. You're gonna be running the show with the ABA guys.
Yep.
Talking about some of the
Outstanding.
changes.
Outstanding.
We'll have Alex. Yeah, Alex.
Well, it's like the 175,
Whatever
now,
it is
isn't
now. So like that. So again, guys, listen. I want to thank you for taking the time this special Wednesday night to join us here on the Livewell. Again, as always, we appreciate your time.
Michael Temples always tries to
He-
shove it.
He does one question.
Just one more.
Okay,
Do
I'm
one
gonna give you one more question.
He's notorious.
Michael
for
does that. I love you, Michael. But he does. He's always in my clothes about that. How many rods, real quick, do you have on your deck?
Like
Let's say you're going out for a tournament. How many rods you got on your deck?
10, 15, something like that.
Okay,
Sometimes a lot less.
So he's got a lot. Just depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect,
So you'll
like
pick
that.
up
Preferably less.
Preferably less. All right, so we're going to end it right there, guys. Listen, hey, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so when we have future videos, especially our new A-list projects that we're coming out with, you'll be notified, and you can check in those. Make sure
Instagram, Fish North
Instagram,
Georgia.
that's
Facebook,
right.
Fish North Georgia. TikTok, Fish North GA.
that's right. And again,
Like and subscribe, comment,
absolutely,
get involved, be part of it.
absolutely. Especially every Monday, Paul runs the brag board. So whatever you catch, make sure you take a picture of it. Hey, no fish too small, no fish too big. We want to see what you're catching out on the water. And guys, hey, listen, we appreciate your time like that. It's been a great show. We look forward to seeing you again. You guys join us next Thursday. Be safe on the water this Labor Day weekend. That's the most important thing. So we're out here. We'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Mm-hmm.